SEO isn't dead, it's evolving into something bigger and more lucrative.
Jason Patel, he's a two-time founder and he built and sold an EdTech company called Transition. Why you build a company around getting found inside of ChatGPT instead of just doing what's worked for Google for 20 years?
Because AI search is slowly taking over SEO and it's evolving from SEO into AEO.
What is OpenForge actually doing? And then tell me what answer engine optimization even means.
OpenForge helps you rank higher and more often in AI search engines like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. And so it's like SEO for the AI age, AEO.
What is one thing you know or have actually done with ChatGPT that it literally cannot make up? For about 25 years now, the move was simple. You wanted customers, you got ranked on Google. Now, your customers are asking ChatGPT instead, and almost nobody is sure how to set up inside an answer that an AI just generates on the spot. But Jason Patel is betting his entire company on cracking that. He's a two-time founder, and he built and sold an edtech company called Transition. His new one, OpenForge AI, is built to get businesses cited inside of AI search. But here's the part that should kind of mess with your assumptions. He doesn't have a computer science degree, but he actually studied political communication. See, these are two separate degrees. So if the next gold rush isn't building AI, but getting found inside of it, who would actually win? The best engineers or the best communicators? I'm Ryan Ali. This is the GenZEO Playbook podcast. And in the next 30 minutes, Jason is going to walk us through what AEO or answer engine optimization actually means, how a non-technical founder like himself built an AI company, and why he thinks the team that tells you the truth beats the team that codes the fastest. But first, we need to understand how a guy who wanted to run political campaigns ended up building and selling an ed tech startup and betting everything on life after Google. Jason, I'm so honored to have you here today. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Ryan, thanks for having me on the show. Really glad to be here and excited to go through AEO, my background, and what our company does.
Great. Thank you, Jason. So, I want to start with your company. I want you to explain it to me like I'm a founder who still thinks SEO is the whole game. Like, what is OpenForge actually doing? And then tell me what answer engine optimization even means.
Absolutely. OpenForge helps you rank higher and more often in AI search engines like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. And so it's like SEO for the AI age, AEO, answer engine optimization.
Mhm.
What our platform helps you do, it helps you monitor your data on the AI search engines. It keeps track of your competitors, gives you market trends, and then tells you what to do in plain English next steps so that you can rank in more AI answers. Our AI will help you build content, it'll automate the content building for you so that all you need to do is spend 5 to 10 minutes a day in our platform to raise your AI search scores. And overall, AEO is different than SEO because SEO is about 10 blue links. SEO is deterministic. If you typed in a term or a keyword on Google, you would get by and large the same 10 blue links every single time. But AI search is probabilistic, meaning if you type in one thing, you're going to get different answers every time, which means that it's your job to be seen, cited, and selected and give yourself a fighting chance in these AI search answers. Why? There's something called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. It basically is an AI pulling key details and pieces of evidence and whatnot from websites to give you an answer. What ends up happening is that the AI will synthesize an answer, and almost 60 to 70% of the time will give the response to the user of the AI, and the user won't click through, meaning they'll find their answer on ChatGPT, and that's it. It's why
Mhm.
we've been seeing a huge loss of traffic all across the internet. I've spoken with 1,500 companies in the past year, and literally almost all of them have lost traffic. But the good part is that AI search consumers, the ones who come to your website from AI search, if they do, are a lot more qualified to buy, which is why we've been seeing that AI search consumers, the buyers, again, that come from AI search, are 1.4 to 1.7 times likelier to purchase from you than standard SEO customers. So AEO is an evolution of SEO. SEO isn't dead, it's evolving into something bigger and more lucrative, something a lot more natural for people to search because they're typing in their natural language questions, their human questions, their common sense questions into the AI search engines.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so you mentioned that you spoke to 15,000 different companies, right? So how do you reach out to them? And like, how would you suggest that I reach them out to them or reach out to people like as a 16-year-old?
I think what you should do, especially when you're young, is literally tell people, "Hey, I'm a 16-year-old a podcaster, or I'm a 16-year-old guy who's interested in technology and entrepreneurship." People will give you time. The beauty of America is that we're always ready to give back, especially to young people. And so I would definitely play up that story because when you reached out to me, I was like, "Yeah, man, I would love to help out a teenager with his podcast. That'd be great." Because I would have loved it when professionals helped me when I was a much younger person, back when the
Yeah.
dinosaurs roamed the earth. And the whole point ultimately here is that when you're reaching out, reach out via email, which is okay. Email is a little saturated now. Reach out via LinkedIn. So get on
Hmm.
LinkedIn, form a LinkedIn profile. This stuff doesn't take very long, and then find people on LinkedIn and DM them. You could also automate your LinkedIn outreach using different tools. They're all very
Hmm.
affordable and they're all out there. But the whole point is make the effort to reach out. Now, most people will reject you or they might not ever respond to you, but that's life. That's okay. That's a part of being an entrepreneur. That's the most natural aspect of being an entrepreneur. So ultimately, reach out, get rejected, and the people who want to help you out or want to talk to you will really help you create some content and help you get out
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Jason, I want you to tell me why you build a company around getting found inside of ChatGPT instead of just doing what's worked for Google for 20 years.
there. Well, overall, I've seen the evolution of the SEO industry. So you mentioned my first company, Transition. We were
Hmm.
very good with SEO, and I did all the SEO for that company. I would manage our stable of writers. They would create great content that would rank very well. We would repurpose that content into YouTube videos that I made, and those YouTube videos also did very well.
Hmm.
And so when we had our Chat GPT 3 moment, when it was in 2022 or 2023, the years are blending together now because AI is moving so quickly. I realized that there would be an opportunity in this space. So I sold my first company in 2023, and then I moved on to this company. Because, of course, if you look at AI search, you experience it, and you truly pay attention to what you're doing, it's really
Hmm.
natural. It's really easy to use. You type in a question, you get your answer in less than a couple of seconds, and it makes your life much easier. There's less friction. And I thought to myself, this is going to be a really big opportunity. So right
Hmm.
now we're bootstrapping Open4j AI. We're serving over 150 companies. It's going very well because AI search is slowly taking over SEO and it's evolving from SEO into AEO.
So yeah, you mentioned that you sold your company in 2023, and so was that like an instant decision? Like other than you saw that this was like a crazy thing that's about to happen, right? Like was it like, hey, I need to get rid of this now because there's the market is changing, or like did that idea of selling the company develop over a bit of time?
Selling the company did develop over a period of time. The education technology market, which was the market I was in, it's a brutal market. It's tough. And right now I'm in the business to business software market, and it's a lot easier than education technology. It takes a lot less out of you. So I was in a previous market running that previous business, and it was taking a lot out of me, and I was burning out severely. I would say that in 2023 I was burnt out, but by 2022 is when I really got burnt out. So I was hanging on to the company and managing it and doing everything
Hmm. Hmm.
for a year and a half when I just didn't have the energy to do it anymore. And I started that company as a solo founder, so I was by myself. That was a pretty big mistake. I brought on a co-founder later on, but I was working on most of this company, or for the most of the lifespan of the company, by myself, which meant that um, I was doing a lot of work. I was getting overly stressed, and it just wasn't a good use of time in terms of what I was doing. And
Hmm.
so by 2023, I was like, I'm out,
Yeah,
and
you
we
need to
got
get
a
rid
good
of it.
offer for the company, and that was that. It
Right.
was. I mean, when I look back on it, man, I should have sold the company earlier. I would have made more money, which is one thing, but ultimately, more important to me is like the timing of it all. I was burnt out. I was ready to move on to another industry,
Hmm.
and I'm glad ultimately I made that decision when it did happen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jason. Here's one thing I can't get past. You studied political communication and you came up through politics and a college prep startup, not a CS lab. So most people would assume that you need to be like the smartest engineer in the room to build an AI company, but you clearly proved that that's not true. So can you walk me through how you actually compete without that? Like, what's the edge a communicator brings that an engineer might miss?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't frame it as I have stuff that other people miss. I would just say I'm the best version of myself, and that's
Okay.
been really good for my entrepreneurship career. And what I mean by that is I'm very good at collaborating with other people. I'm
Hmm.
very low ego. I like to work with people who are smarter than me, and I like to give them a lot of independence when they work after giving them direction. So I give them a North Star that we want to pursue. And then, of course, they do their thing because they're smart people. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Another thing that I'm very good at is staying in the pocket, taking the hits, being resilient while building this business.
Hmm.
Being a CEO in a lot of ways is straightforward. It's rudimentary, but very difficult. It's like basketball, easy to understand, but very difficult to execute. And
That,
so,
that's true.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with taking rejection. I'm fine with, trying to make payroll. I'm fine with raising money from investors. I can do all that stuff, which a lot of other people have a hard time with. And
Hmm.
so, I'm able to develop my leadership skills in that regard, while the technical people that I hire are able to work their genius in their own ways. And so, when it comes to political communication, I did think I was going to be running campaigns. But it turns out that after I graduated college, I really enjoyed helping students with the college and career process. I was volunteering doing it. And one of the moms there was like, you should start a business. So I did. And that's how I founded Transition. And then I sold the company several years later. So it's been one happy accident after another that I found myself in entrepreneurship. And I've been very lucky to be on this journey.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a really nice story, and I feel like it's really good to be a well-rounded person. It really helps in like a lot of different types of markets. But I also wanted to say that you can boil down your whole AEO thesis down to one line, and that would be the only content that wins in AI search is the content the model cannot generate on its own. So I want to get specific for the founders listening. What is one thing you know or have actually done with ChatGPT that it literally cannot make up? Because that sounds like the new moat, right? And most people have no idea what their moat actually is.
You're absolutely right. The concept is called information gain. It's essentially information that the model does not have, that you have. And
Hmm.
when the model is asked by a customer a question, it uses RAG, it retrieves that knowledge from the rest of the internet to answer that question. And if you have something that the other competitors don't have and that the model doesn't have, the model will have a higher chance of citing you. And so what we found is putting customer testimonials or case studies, stats, hard numbers, cold facts, things like that into the answers that we provide to our customers and the content that we provide for them in order to ensure that they have the highest chance of succeeding and showing up in those AI answers. If you're able to provide to the AI search engines something that they themselves it does not know, then you have the ability to influence it and show up number one in those answers because the AI will say, "Hey, this is actually a really good piece of data. Let me feed it to the customer who's asking the question."
Hmm.
That's what we found. It's called information gain as the term, and information gain is invaluable at serving customers answers through ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude.
Hmm. All right, all right. Jason, I have a bit of a counterintuitive question. You're telling founders that AEO gets you less traffic than the old school SEO, and you're framing that as a win and not really a catch. That honestly makes sense for me, but why is less traffic actually the better deal? And who is it really the better deal for?
Yeah, it's a really counterintuitive question or a counterintuitive concept at the very least, in that, yes, traffic across the internet is going down. And that's because the AI will provide the answer to the human, and the human might not click anywhere. They just get the answer in ChatGPT and then they move on with their lives.
Hmm.
But here's the thing: traffic that does come from AI search is 1.4 to 1.7 times more likely to buy from you. So what's happening is that across the internet, with the customers that I've talked to, again, I've talked to 1,500 customers, give or take, over the past year.
Hmm.
And they've almost all of them have said that they've lost 20 to 30% of their traffic, but their revenue has gone higher because the people that are coming to their website from the AI search engines are more likely to buy. And so the way I put it is, it's much better to have 100 people who are really interested in your product than it is to have 1,000 people who are just tire kicking. You want people who are qualified buyers, qualified prospects, because those are the people that are going to eventually buy from you. And remember, you're in business. Business and entrepreneurship is ultimately about solving a problem and providing value to your customers. If you find a market that you can provide value to, then you're doing entrepreneurship correctly. They'll want to hand over their hard-earned money for the solution that you created because you provide them security or peace of mind or more time or more money.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's the idea here, is that you are marketing toward people who are researching to purchase something. And you want to market yourself in a way that they'll come on your site and they'll eventually purchase from you and buy your product.
Yeah, so I want to connect your business to like another my next question about business, right? So you're selling visibility inside of AI answers, but OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, like all these companies can change how citations work overnight with no warning, and they can basically wipe out everything your customer has built. So Google did exactly that to SEO for 2 decades. And honestly, aren't you selling an AI optimization playbook for a black box that you cannot control or predict?
It's a very fair question. And I would say that the AI search engines are like black boxes.
Hmm.
And so what we do is that we provide real-time data and then provide insights off of that. In other words, whenever Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, whenever something in those systems changes and there are different citations the day after or next week,
Hmm.
whenever there's movement, whenever there's a change, whenever they evolve, whenever something different happens, we're on top of it. We keep track of it. We
Okay.
run the customer data that we have over and over again to find their new visibility stats. So if something happens overnight, we'll be checking. We'll be right on top of it because we're running that data and refreshing it all the time. So yeah, we don't know when ChatGPT is going to change stuff. We don't know when Anthropic will change stuff. But what we do know is that we're in control of feeding the customer data to the AI search engine. And if we get different data in return, we're going to report that to the customer right away. We will show the plus minus changes, the good and the bad. And so, although things are a black box, the results of the data are not a black box. And as the data changes, we will tell our customers of that. We'll be on top of it to make sure that our customers know, hey, things are changing. Therefore, your strategy should change. And so we're doing a great job of staying on top of those trends, those changes within the AI search engines. I'll give you a real life case study here.
Okay.
We have a customer where in their market, roundup articles were doing quite well, and pretty much top five best government compliance or governance and compliance software out there. But then what we realized a couple of months ago was that LinkedIn was doing quite well in terms of those search results, and so we started advising them to go on LinkedIn, making pulse articles, making posts, so that they get picked up by the AI search engines. That's what we're talking about here. When something changes, we'll be right there to detect that change, and then we'll tell the customer what they need to do in order to take advantage of that change.
Okay. Okay. So I see that, yeah, you guys are on top of everything at the moment, like on the moment, right? When anything happens, right? Your founder story also has a brutal detail in it. It was like a full year when you refused to admit that the first version of transition wasn't really working. And now you say psychological safety isn't an HR buzzword. So I want you to connect those two for me. How do you build a team that tells you the truth you don't want to hear before it costs you another year like that one?
Yeah. So when I got into debt, a lot of debt, building my first company, that was a really horrible experience for a couple of years, but I stuck with it. And I didn't have a co-founder at that time, so I didn't have someone telling me that I was wrong or making certain decisions or that I needed to change. And we all need to change. We all need to adapt and evolve. That's a human trait that we all need to embrace.
Hmm.
And so, in terms of psychological safety and in terms of really embracing that on my team, I try to work with people who are a lot smarter than me, number one. And then number two, I make it a company rule, a company value, that if they see something that's wrong, they have to say something. They have to say something. They have to make their feelings known so that if something is wrong, we're never ignoring it. And then when someone does point out something wrong, they fix it, we always reward them. Or if they try to fix something and they fail, or if they make a mistake, we never, ever, ever chide them or criticize them. We just try to go back to the drawing board and fix stuff. We try to make sure that any business I work in or found or build, that my team has the creative ability, the creative space, the openings to say and admit what they think is wrong, whether it's something they're doing wrong or what's something I'm doing wrong, and then have the ability to fix that. If they come up with a solution, great. But the last thing we want to do is say yes, say yes to everything, be a yes man to everyone, so no one gets their feelings hurt. And then we say, hey, that wasn't cool. What we try to do is essentially say, no yes manning here. What you want to do is tell me when I'm wrong, and then if you have a solution to that, wonderful. We never criticize people or bring them down if they try to do something and make a mistake. We want people to try new things. We want people to dare to be great. So we imbue that in all of our companies. And then finally, I always stress that if you tell me something that needs to be improved that I'm doing wrong, I'll never get my feelings hurt. I don't want to work with yes men. I want to work with people who are willing to tell me to my face that they think I'm wrong. Because I love working with people who are smarter than me, and people who are smarter than me might have a solution to something that I'm doing incorrectly.
Hmm. So you would say, or I would say, that you work in a very supportive community, a supportive workplace, right? And yeah, you guys are very supportive. So like when you guys are super supportive to each other, doesn't that make like your coworkers want to work to like, hey, the bare minimum, like I don't want to do anything above and beyond, right? And so if for example they don't do that, how did your company improve and go like above and beyond when your coworkers don't really want to? Like let's just say that's the scenario.
The best way to fixing that situation is to avoid it. When we bring on people to our company, we always make sure that they're hard workers, that they're gamers, that they're competitors, that they're people who expect the best out of themselves and their teammates. So we're never gonna find and hire people who are inherently lazy or do the bare minimum. That's not
Okay.
us. We don't do that. There are plenty of other workplaces that tolerate that, but we don't. We're high achievers here, and we want to do the very best we can for our customers. So our interview questions, the things we make sure we filter for, are all based on hiring hard workers who are trying to do the maximum best for our customers. And the second thing I would say is that once people are on board, we want to ensure that the results that every team member has, that every team has, every group has, are strong. And if they miss their mark, they miss their KPIs or their objectives, they miss their goals, we're doing what we can as a company, and I'm doing what I can as a business leader to put them in the right position to succeed. So if you bring on ambitious, hardworking people, you make sure they're on the right track, you give them good direction, and you give them what they need to succeed. We believe that they'll never do the bare minimum. They'll do a lot more for our customers. We've seen that approach work time and time again over the past couple of years, and even now into my second company.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Jason, you say you sell AI adoption for a living, but you've said yourself it also creates echo chambers and silence in teams. So, which is it that you're selling? The catapult or the crutch?
Well, I would say that we are selling a rocket booster. We could call it a catapult. The idea here is that our customers want to be found by AI so that they can be read and discovered by customers. And so, what does that mean? Well, that means that we want to create a larger surface area so that our customers can get found by the AI. The larger your surface area, the more likely you are to be found. And so, we're building that booster rocket so that they can boost and grow their surface area so that they get seen by the AI crawlers when someone asks a question. So, we're not trying to have an echo chamber. What we're trying to do is promote the voice of our customer, get their perspective and their brand out there because every brand is unique. And if we
Hmm.
do that, we're doing our jobs because then that customer is going to get discovered.
I really like he called it a rocket booster. Like you guys are really pushing everyone out to be seen. Jason, for our last question, I want you to take me back to the version of you that was like 80, $90,000 in debt, right? You would just quit your steady job in politics and burn through your savings in 3 months trying to keep your idea alive. So, what is one thing you wish someone had told you then, but nobody did?
I would say that changing course and adapting and acting on new information is not giving up. It's evolving and adapting. And if you look like a failure for a couple months because you do adapt, or you look like a failure for a couple years, it's not a big deal. In
Okay.
America, we celebrate people who come back. We celebrate the comeback story. We celebrate people who hit rock bottom and then use that as a platform to build their new life. And so, when I was in debt, I would have loved for someone to tell me, Jason, I think you're going down the wrong path. I think this is what you should do. You should change course. And after 1 or 2 years, that's what I did. And so, you know, I was younger then. I was much more egotistical, which isn't a good thing. But a lot of 20-year-olds and 20-year-old guys have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say is evolve, adapt. You can change, and change is a good thing. Change around you is something you can embrace if you put your mind to it. But changing yourself, your personality, the way you deal with problems is a good thing. That's adapting and evolving, and that's what helps you succeed. Because it's not the strongest that necessarily survive. It's the ones that are most willing to adapt that survive and thrive in a new world.
Jason, thank you so much for that answer. It was truly valuable and insightful. You're betting on a company shift that most founders haven't even noticed yet. And I'm not sure the rules of the game haven't even been created. But anyways, here are my 3 takeaways from today's conversation. First, distribution is the new moat. Building the product was never the hard part, but getting found is, and the front door is quietly moving from Google to results from AI. Second, you don't need to be a technical genius. Jason had built his entire AI company on a political communication degree, which means the edge might be knowing what to say and who to reach out to, not just how to code your product. And third, AI is either a catapult or a crutch. The founder selling it doesn't get to decide which the customer receives, but the same tool that can speed up a team can quietly make it stop thinking, and almost nobody notices which one they end up holding. So your homework for the next episode is to open up ChatGPT and ask it to recommend a company in your space, and then see who it names, because that is your real competition right now. If this episode changed how you think about getting found, the best thing you can do is subscribe to the GenZEO Playbook podcast on YouTube and wherever else you listen. And DM me on Instagram which company ChatGPT named when you ran that test, because I really want to see who's winning this. Once again, I'm Ryan Ali. This is the GenZEO Playbook podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.